What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here with your $1,400 third stimulus check update, fourth stimulus check update, and a daily news report. A lot going on right now. We're seeing a lot of movement with student loan forgiveness. I'm going to give you the latest details on that, as well as these vaccines possibly being required in different venues and colleges, and also the fourth stimulus check, the push to have a fourth stimulus check included in the infrastructure package, and not just one, but they're actually pushing for monthly recurring stimulus checks in this next package. We're going to go over the latest details of everything in this video. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below and join our family so you don't miss out on new upcoming videos on the upcoming round of stimulus, and hit the like button for us. It really helps out our channel. First up is the issue of these vaccine passports, where you basically have to show identification that you have had the vaccine to possibly get into different venues or even colleges or sports stadiums or several different things on the horizon. Some states have already started to ban them. In fact, 4 different states, but some states like New York are adopting them. And the real question is, what will happen in the future? Here is University of Pennsylvania law professor Eric Feldman on the legality of requiring vaccines for entry into a business or a venue.
Anywhere that requires proof of vaccination. But of course, the big question that's being raised is the legality of it. And we want to discuss that with Professor Eric Feldman. He's of University of Pennsylvania's Carey Law School. And Professor, great to see you. When we talk about the legality of it, I think a lot of people who are against it say you simply can't require either a customer of your business or one of your employees to get the vaccine. Tell us what you think.
I think it depends upon who the you is in that story. It seems fairly clear that some of the yous can certainly require people to show that they've been vaccinated. Private businesses, for example, can both, under the EEOC, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission's guidance, so long as they comply with state and federal law, require that employees get vaccinated. And private businesses can put all sorts of restrictions on who they do and don't let into their venues. And that would be true for your local bar and cafe, as well as Yankee Stadium, for example, or the US Open or other sorts of venues. So my guess is in most cases, private venues and public venues, depending upon which ones they are, will be on fairly strong legal ground if they're going to require people to show that they've been vaccinated.
And Professor, of course, a number of states have come out strongly against these vaccine passports. But to give one example of a state that has issued something like that, here in New York, we have the Excelsior Pass, which provides either a record of vaccination or proof of a negative test. And I'm wondering, of course, vaccine passports in that case could be a little bit of a misnomer if a negative test also suffices in order to permit entry into a venue or to some other live location. And I'm wondering, that is something that could potentially be on even firmer legal grounds, since it wouldn't just be about the vaccines, it could also be about a negative test.
Right. Well, the vaccine passport in general, I think, is a misnomer. I think the term started out describing the sorts of requirements that countries might have for citizens of other countries or even their own citizens to cross the borders into the country. That fits with what we think of as passports, which after all are formal government documents that impose certain obligations and grant certain rights to the holder. A vaccine passport, so-called, is really nothing more than a certification or a card that indicates which vaccine a particular person has had. In this case, the case of COVID-19, it would simply show that the individual had been vaccinated against COVID with the appropriate dosage to have cleared the immunity hurdles. I think you're right. There are some places that are suggesting, well, gee, either show a vaccine passport or vaccine certification, or show that you've been tested and tested negative recently. But I think we know that the vaccination is likely to be a significantly more robust form of protection, both for the individual and for others.
Now, 4 different states have banned the use of basically showing a vaccine proof of identification that you have had it done. Idaho, Florida, Texas, and Utah are 4 states that have basically banned this through executive order on the state level, as New York is adopting this. And we're also seeing multiple different colleges now that are requiring students to have the vaccine to be able to go to college in the fall. First, we started off with Rutgers University, now Brown University, as well as Duke University. We're seeing multiple different colleges now require all their students to have a vaccination to go to college, or else they will not be able to go to college in physical form. There is some colleges that are doing still Zoom conferences and things like that where they won't require it. But it's kind of the tale of two tales where some colleges and businesses and states are adopting this and moving forward towards requiring identification that you had it. And then some states are banning it. And really, it's going to be interesting to see what happens because we're a country going in two different directions in regards to showing identification that you had a vaccine. And really, the answer is not clear yet on what's going to happen. I mean, we're already seeing colleges that are requiring it, that are saying you can't go to college unless you've had it. So I don't know how you come back from that. The only way to, I think, come back from that the other way to make schools not require it is lawsuits. So because it's like once these schools have made the decision, I doubt that, especially now we're seeing multiple ones, I doubt we're going to see them reverse that decision unless they're forced to through a lawsuit. So it will be interesting to see as well if this happens to school children with kindergarten through grade 12. As you know, all 50 states already require vaccinations. Multiple different vaccinations are required for kids to go to school. But obviously, the coronavirus vaccine is the most controversial because it's just came out, and well, a lot of people still aren't for it. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Let me know your thoughts on this down below in the comments. I think we could see a mass canceling of student loan debt of anywhere between $10,000 and $50,000 within the next week. President Biden told his White House staff and the Department of Education staff to look into whether or not to make sure that he does have the authority to do at least $10,000 of student loan debt forgiveness, but up to $50,000 of student loan debt forgiveness simply through a presidential executive order. I think this could be coming within the next week. We've already seen President Biden cancel 3 different rounds of a student loan debt. Number one was $1 billion for people that were defrauded by their schools or their school closed. Round two was for $1.3 billion and went to students with disabilities that were behind and were in collections, and they have now forgiven that. There's qualifications for each one of those. So if you think you might be there, you should, in one of those categories, you should look into it. A lot of research and, just Google student loan forgiveness. You can go directly to the student aid government website and you can apply there if you think you fall in one of those two categories. The third category is President Biden paused loan payments and interest for over 1 million borrowers in the last round that was just done about a week or two ago. And the executive order, I think, could be coming within the next week as they've now had time to review whether or not they can do it. And almost everything I've seen from every expert regarding student loan forgiveness is that, yes, he can do it through a presidential executive order. About 95% of student loan debt is owned by the government. About 5% of it is private debt. So I don't know about the private debt because that would require, I don't know. You could argue either way whether or not the private debt, which would require the government paying money to private debt holders to pay off those loans. The government loans, they can simply do executive order and just cancel it off the books, $10,000 to $50,000, and it just goes away. There's nobody to pay. The money's owed to the government, so the government basically just forgives it. And remember, they set this up in the third stimulus check package to, they had a provision in there that said any student loan debts that are forgiven in the next 5 years, you won't even have to pay taxes on it. Normally, when money like that is forgiven, say $10,000, you would normally have to pay taxes on $10,000 like it was $10,000 of income. So you might have $1,000 or $2,000 in taxes there. But in the third stimulus check package, they already passed a provision in there that said, no, any student loan forgiveness in the next 5 years will not even have to pay taxes on it. The President Biden, has said he's willing to do $10,000 of student loan forgiveness, but Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Senator Elizabeth Warren are leading the charge on increasing that to $50,000. Here's what they have to say. And then we'll talk about how this could lead to other types of debt forgiveness besides student loan debt forgiveness, and then the fourth stimulus check.
We'll make canceling student loan debt a top priority.
Right now, over 44 million Americans owe over $1.6 trillion in student loans. This debt holds back entire generations of young adults from buying homes, saving for retirement, starting families, and going into the career they might really desire.
And just like COVID, the student loan debt sounds like it impacts everyone the same, whether you're black or brown or white. But it's really hitting communities of color hardest because of generations of discrimination that have left these communities with significantly less savings and less intergenerational wealth. That means that borrowers of color have to borrow more money before they go to school, borrow more while they're in school, and have a harder time paying it off when they get out of school. And that's why our proposal to cancel student loan debt helps build black and brown wealth and helps close that racial wealth gap.
Our plan is big. We're proposing a roadmap for the next president to cancel on his own $50,000 worth of student debt for each borrower. It would completely wipe out debt for more than 75% of federal student borrowers, and it would provide a massive boost to our entire economy.
Even if you don't have any student loan debt or you already paid it off, this is good for you too, because the student loan debt is an anchor on our struggling economy.
Education, we all know, is supposed to be a ladder up, not an anchor that weighs you down.
We need Democrats in charge to get this done. If we're going to elect Joe and Kamala, take back the Senate, and keep the House, we need you in this fight. So please, vote. Get your friends to vote. And most of all, stay in this fight.
I actually think they could be doing this student loan debt cancellation within the next week. So I'll keep you up to date on that. I also think that this could open the door for more types of debt cancellation. For example, the majority of mortgages are owned by the government as well, and they could cancel, let's say they do $10,000 of student loan debt. Could they also do $10,000 of mortgage debt forgiveness? Could they do $10,000 of credit card debt forgiveness, as they're likely going to be paying out to private debt or private student loan lien holders anyways, loan holders anyways? Could they do credit card debt forgiveness? Could they do medical debt forgiveness? All that kind of becomes a possibility in the near future now that student loan debt forgiveness has kind of set the precedence that it can happen and that they've already started this. And I expect the big announcement here to happen within the next few days. So I'll keep you up to date on that. Make sure to stay tuned to the channel. President Biden is also facing more and more pressure to have a fourth stimulus check included in the infrastructure package that they're working on right now. In fact, the majority of Democrats that are pushing for a fourth stimulus check are actually pushing for monthly recurring stimulus checks in the next package. And these Democratic lawmakers in both the House and the Senate have been pushing President Biden to say, yes, he will include a fourth stimulus check in this next infrastructure package. I expect that we will see at least a fourth stimulus check, if not a recurring stimulus check. The recurring stimulus check is kind of the best case scenario. That would be monthly stimulus checks until the pandemic is over. If they could get that, then it would be all said and done because we would have them until the pandemic is over, which would basically help out our entire economy along with all the Americans, well, the majority of Americans who would qualify for it. I could see them lowering the income, the amount you can make, the income requirements. I could see them making that stricter if they do go ahead with the monthly recurring stimulus checks. but I expect at least a single stimulus check, a fourth stimulus check, to be included before the pandemic is over through the Biden administration. I don't think Biden wants to send less stimulus checks than his predecessor, former President Donald Trump. And remember, the Senate parliamentarian has ruled that they can do at least 2 more stimulus packages this year, this fiscal year, actually. They can do more next fiscal year, but they can do at least 2 more stimulus packages through the reconciliation process and pass them basically with just 50 votes in the Senate. So all they need to do is negotiate within the own Democratic team. We likely will not get any Republican votes for this next package, but they can pass it without Republican votes because of the 50-50 tie in the Senate and the reconciliation rule. A lot of Democrats in Congress think that the infrastructure package should be larger and also include these stimulus checks. Here's Senator Bernie Sanders, who's considered President Biden's right-hand man and also the Senate budget chairman.
We've got to take a broad look at what infrastructure means, human infrastructure for ordinary people. Human infrastructure means housing. You got 500,000 people in this country who are homeless. You got 19 million households who are spending 50% of their limited incomes on housing. We need to build housing. And by the way, when you deal with housing, you create jobs. You got to deal with climate change. Who in their right mind would believe that transforming our energy system to protect us from the devastation that we're seeing from climate change, who would not believe that that is not infrastructure? So moving away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energies, that can create millions of jobs. When I talk about infrastructure, it means if a mom and dad are going to work, they have the right to know that their kids are in decent childcare. That's infrastructure. Infrastructure is having the best educated workforce in the world. That means all of our kids should have the ability to get a higher education, not leave school deeply in debt. It means that we need a healthy society. Our life expectancy is 40th in the world because we are the only major country not to guarantee health care to all people. So I think as a nation, we've got to take a very broad look at what we mean by infrastructure. It's physical infrastructure, obviously, bricks and mortar. It is human infrastructure. And now is the time to create millions of jobs addressing all of the needs impacting the middle class and working families of this country. So our job, I believe, and I think we are in an enormously wonderful moment, is to rally the American people around an agenda that works for workers and the middle class who have been neglected for so many years. It is the right thing to do policy-wise. It is the right thing to do politically. And if we do that, if we bring people into the political process who say, you know what, healthcare is a human right. Yeah, I need to make at least $15 an hour. Yeah, I need to have decent housing. Yes, my kid has a right to get a college education. We do that. We transform this country and we create a political coalition which is not going to lose for a very long time.
Bernie Sanders and a lot of Democrats also want to expand Medicare. They want to include dental coverage and hearing aids, among many other things, also with the possibility of lowering the age requirement for Medicare to make it younger to qualify and expand it to millions more people, along with all this extra coverage for free that the government would pay for. So I'll keep you up to date on all these different things on the fourth round of stimulus. There's a lot there out on the horizon that could be coming soon, and student loan debt forgiveness could be coming within the next few days. So I'll keep you up to date on all the different stimulus packages and stimulus provisions on the horizon. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below so you don't miss out on new updates. New videos come out every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., 8 p.m., and 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't miss out on any episodes so you don't miss out on the different things that we cover on this channel that just might mean money for you and or your family. The next video is at 11 p.m. Eastern Time tonight. You can click this top video here to watch my newest stimulus check video next. And this video teaches you how to start your own business selling products on Amazon FBA. I've had dozens of students that have replaced their 9-to-5 income selling products on Amazon and creating their own business via Amazon FBA program. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.